Hello and welcome to Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes. This is episode number 171, and my guests will discuss the first ever UK Flat Earth Conference set for 2018. Now, we know about the one in the United States, which is coming up in Raleigh, North Carolina in the fall. Details on that are in the description box of this video. But there's a UK one. It's in 2018, though, and they're getting it organized now. My guests are Karen Pettit and Gary John. Now, Karen lives in Thatcham. It's close to Newbury. And Gary lives 5 minutes away in Droxford in Hampshire. So they've gathered in Karen's house for the interview. Now, Karen's got a YouTube channel where she does a lot of shows. In fact, she was doing one right before this show, featuring just big panels with some of the brightest minds in Flat Earth. You just wrapped up, right, Karen?
Yeah, we did, to come on your one, but ours was a bit unannounced. You know, we're not planning some of ours. We're just coming on. So, yeah.
Well, that's good. It's good to be able to do that. I generally plan mine out just because it works best for my life. I don't want to leave Gary out, though. Gary doesn't have a YouTube channel. He's primarily active on Facebook, and he's really the driving force behind this UK Flat Earth Conference. We're going to talk about the conference, who's going to be speaking, where it's going to be held, if there's been any stumbling blocks to getting it going, and find out about both of your journeys that led you to the Flat Earth Awakening and all the pluses and cons of being involved in Flat Earth. Anyway, thank you both for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you for asking us.
Yeah, it's lovely.
So should we talk about the conference first, since it's, I guess, really the title of this video? Gary, I know you're the one, and Karen, just feel free to chime in at any moment because I know you work closely. Obviously, you're basically neighbors.
Yeah, Gary's in my group.
Yeah. What is the group?
Well, it's a research group. We're taking compass readings and researching. We're kind of, because we didn't want anybody to come in and troll or anything like that. But just lately, we've been doing some hangouts, and it's very hard not to bring out some of this work. So we've decided to go out with our work, which is what will come out on some of our hangouts.
Yes, I listened to one you did yesterday. Somehow woke up at 3 a.m. for some unknown reason. And obviously, I can't help myself. I checked YouTube and you were on live, and I listened to a lot of it and fell asleep listening to you. So you guys have influenced me on a subconscious level, which is funny. But so Gary, before, I want to know about you and Flat Earth before we find out about the conference, just very briefly. How did you and when did you hear about Flat Earth, and was your response when you heard it one of anger, frustration, or did it come to you very easily?
It was in August 2015, and I just happened to be going through normal YouTube, normal topics, and all of a sudden I came across Mark Sargent's Flat Earth Clues, and I saw it. Didn't have a clue what it was. I thought I'd click on it. 2 hours later, my chin was on the floor, and I remember you actually saying once, Patricia, on a hangout, that you just felt when you came across it that it felt right, and I actually could to that, because that's exactly how I felt. And the one thing I really felt is I really hoped that it was real, because I didn't like the idea of it not being real. Which I don't know if that's good or bad, but it's just, I just thought that, wow, this is mind blowing. I also thought it was life changing as well, but then I didn't know how or why. I just thought it just felt different. I then went off and researched, and when I spoke to a few people, I then found it very difficult because they would then laugh in my face, and I didn't have the strength or the confidence to actually argue back. It was awakening, and I've been on it ever since.
So you post a lot on Facebook. And I know you, Karen, like you were saying, you have this group that you're speaking of that now you've kind of taken into your YouTube channel.
I think on Facebook we will still probably stay where we are, because we don't want loads of people herding in, because we're not quite finished. But we are coming out via YouTube, because I just feel it's right with the amount of people, everybody we've got. We've got researchers, people want to talk about this stuff now, about their research. Series wants to talk about his. So on YouTube, we're going for it.
Well, I think it's great. The more, the merrier on YouTube, discussing both ends of it. Even if you're an anti-flat earther, the more people who are talking about the topic, the more information is going to come out, and we'll get to the truth eventually. And I, for one, believe there's no curvature, and we're living on a plane, not a planet. So,
I don't know how you feel, but I don't know. I don't know if I want to be watching another video in 10 years' time. Oh, flat. I don't mean that rudely, because if I hadn't watched the videos, I wouldn't have gone, oh. But there are some people like Gary, me, you, we're activists. We want to bring this forward. We want to bring this out, bring it so that people are talking about this daily, not picture.
I agree with that. And some people say, well, there's enough YouTube videos out on Flat Earth. Why are you continuing to do more? Well, I know that every single moment of every single day, someone will accidentally find a YouTube video and they've never heard about it before. And they're only going to probably find new videos, not a video I did a year ago or 2 years ago. That's not going to be a suggested video. So I say keep pumping them out. But yeah, I'm like you, Karen. I hope we're not here in 10 years' time doing the same thing.
But also, the only way it's going to happen is us communicating more and coming together.
This is true.
That's the only way.
You and I and Gary have come together more so due to the fact that I'm part of the conference in the US and you've got this UK conference, and that's going to build a friendship. Hey, look, we're doing something together right now. And people who know me and don't know you are going to get to know you, and people who know you guys and don't know me are going to get to know me. And it's building a dysfunctional family one person at a time, which is only going to help push this thing forward.
Or getting to know more of the family.
Yes, very, very much so. It's like, well, you don't have Thanksgiving like we do here in the States, but it's like a big Sunday lunch. I'll use UK terms. It's a big Sunday lunch going on with Flat Earth around the clock. So, so what about you, Karen? How did Flat Earth come into your life?
Well, I did this great big section on 9/11. I did quite a few years on that, and I was like a bit mind blown with all that because I couldn't get that out of my mind. And I thought that that was the biggest thing that had happened to us, but it's a cherry on top of the cake. And then a friend of mine was going, well, she wanted to debunk Nibiru, but she wanted Nibiru to be real, whereas I didn't feel it was real. And I went to do Flat Earth, and I just couldn't. A few videos, I just couldn't.
Do you remember what you saw first? Gary's saying Mark Sargent. Mark Sargent was the first thing I really saw.
Yeah, Mark Sargent and a bit of Crow 77, I think, you know, with the moon wobbling and all that. And then just about the actual horizon, you know, like everybody will tell you the horizon disappears within so many miles. But all you do is you need to get a camera or a telescope, and it goes on and on and on. But then all sorts of things start clicking into place. And right now, I can't believe I believed in the globe world. I can't believe it now.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's laughable.
Stupid. Yeah, absolutely stupid when you actually think about things.
And then you walk around and you see how much globe programming there is. You go into a store, a department store that's got everything in it, and you see globes for sale, and people are picking them up and looking at them. And I'm walking by with my shopping cart, or trolley as you call it, seeing people looking at globes. And at one time I did say to somebody, we don't live on a globe, but what do you it's almost like you have to do, you got to go to each individual person and shake them and wake them up. And well, that's why things like Del from Beyond the Imaginary Curves, ways he's kind of taught us to go out there and talk to people are so helpful. The one-on-one thing that we have to keep it on YouTube, but take it from YouTube elsewhere out into the public, one-on-one. And I think, Gary, that's where the conference is going to be great, because there will be not just the speakers who know about Flat Earth. There's going to be people that are going to that are maybe Flat Earth curious, or, you know, there to support their husband or wife or boyfriend or girlfriend or son or daughter who's a speaker, who may get more into the whole, I don't know if I'll call it a movement, but yeah, what the heck, movement, because they go to the conference. Same thing as the one coming up in the US. So Gary, where'd you get the idea? How did that come to your mind to do the conference in the UK?
The answer to that is indirectly. It was down to Jaron. I was watching one of his videos, and he was doing it where it wasn't Globebusters. It was another video where I think he does it with his wife, and they would going through emails that they would received from.
On TFR, probably Truth Frequency Radio, their Monday Night Raw show, maybe.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. That's the one.
That
yeah, I couldn't know, but it is that one. And basically, I actually listened to it in the background, and I was doing some bits and pieces at home. And all of a sudden, I heard him say that somebody was asking him the question, "Are you going to the conference in July?" And I thought, I didn't know there was a conference in July, because I knew about the one in North Carolina. So I then went on to the internet, and this is a transition from nothing to where we are today, all because of moments in time. And I went on the internet and I come across the European conference with a guy called Frans Heselinger, and he was doing different bits and pieces in Europe, and one of them was in Holland, which was not actually flat Earth. It was actually I've forgotten what it's called now, but it was actually around different subjects to do with Earth, you know, spiritualism and healing and flat Earth as a subject. It was a multitude of different things, and I got in touch with him and thought, I hear there's one in London, because I wanted to go to it. And he said, well, I haven't actually got one in London, but I would like to obviously organise one through people like yourself or people like you that could help in the UK. And went to the hotels and saying, and I spoke to Karen, I said, look, I want to do this, but I think I'm going to need some help. But I went to some hotels and we were discussing about locations, and Birmingham came out quite quickly. And I didn't have a clue of numbers, I didn't have a clue of dates. Through Karen, we managed to get hold of this Frans, and we had a three-way conversation. And he was then saying, you've got to pick a date, and you've got to just literally. And I was as naive as that 4 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And I started off talking to the hotels, but not giving them any information because I had nothing to give them.
Yeah, because this has happened quite quickly, hasn't it, really?
Very quick. It all very quickly became obvious that I could pinpoint one hotel in central Birmingham. I looked at other locations, but the cost was ridiculous. And I had to then also pick on a number. And like Karen was saying, should we go for something small? Should we go for 1 day? And I thought, well, no, everything feels more towards 2 days. And we started through Karen's Hangouts, we started to talk to different, allegedly Dave, we spoke to him, and we spoke to a few other people on one of the Hangouts. And I asked him, this conference, could we have you and a few other people like Patricia and Brian Mullen and Robbie and everyone else, maybe do like a 5-minute video towards us, you know, for us. So we could obviously, I was thinking ahead that you to do a conference in November and us not benefiting in our conference. And he said, well, maybe I'll even come in and speak. And that was just it, you know, I was just absolutely amazed that we're going from talking about it. I was talking to the hotel, spoke to Leslie Dave and a few other people, and all of a sudden Mark Sargent is saying yes. So it grew very quickly, very exponentially. And then we spoke again through the Hangouts with Karen, because most of the things have been through the Hangouts. Mm-hmm. I mean, Wakey and Oliver outside of the Hangouts, but most of them come through the Hangouts where these people are on the show, and like John the Morgile is an example that's come through the Hangout. And because of the credibility that I think Karen's been building, looking at me and think, well, who are you? Do I really want to do a conference in the UK? Who are you? It's already got credibility because of, and so in effect, yes, I'm the driving force, but without Karen's involvement, it is because of, it's so basically it's for lots of reasons. One of them is Jaren saying the thing, no, I'm not going to the conference event in England, for me thinking, right, conference in the UK, the only way I'm going to make it happen is
doing. And now Gary's spent a few weeks going mad, haven't you?
It's been hard. Yeah, it's been a lot of work, but I also knew I had to keep driving on, because if I didn't build the momentum, it wouldn't be self-perpetuating. It needed that initial drive.
First, it's a snowball that you're pushing up the hill that's small. And then once you reach the top, it's gotten a lot bigger. And then all it needs is a little push, and it pretty much takes care of itself. And I think you're getting to that point now where people are knowing that you're doing it and people are expressing interest. Now with the US one, the same thing that organizer Robbie D had kind of happened to him. I mean, he wanted to do a conference, but didn't really know how many people to invite, where to have it, and looking around for a place, and settled on Raleigh, North Carolina, because it was beneficial to conference organizers and also cost efficient, and getting a hotel and the right amount of space. But how many? You don't want to overshoot the runway and spend too much money, because then what are you going to do? You're going to owe the hotel money. And it's pretty much the same thing you guys have faced. So,
and Gary's put some of his own money in already.
And so has the conference organizers for the US one. So putting your own money into it, as you have, Gary, and as Robbie D, Brian Mullen, for, you know, and it's very important to them that this thing gets a fighting chance to make it. And the one for the US, I mean, it's coming up Thursday and Friday, the 9th and 10th of November. And the people that have been asked to speak have all still been locked in and ready to go. There's been no cancellations, but you know, cancellations happen. So we're prepared if that has to be the case. You know, people get sick, or you know, things could occur. We hope not. But getting it together for you, since you've got almost a whole year yet to go, you're doing the right thing. Starting now, this is the way to go. So what do you have so far? I think the number one thing people would want to know, since we know it's going to be in Birmingham, is who's going to be there?
Me. I'm going to be there.
Yay.
I'll go through the names, and these are in no particular order, but you've got Mark Sargent. I'll try and do in countries because it makes it easier. Mark Sargent, John de Morgile. We have in Spain, we have Ibanez Ludlow. In Holland, we have Mike Kavanagh and Franz Heslinger. In the UK, we have Dale from the Imaginary Curve, we have Darren Nesbitt, we have Leslie Dave. Wakey Wakey will be involved in one way or another, but it may not be there. And same for Insanity to Sanity will be involved in one way or another, but not there, I think.
Yeah, Amir, Insanity is Sanity.
One you'll hang out as well. We've also got a few unknowns we're working with at this moment. I don't think there's anyone. So
I think
to
maybe
be fair, I'm actually.
I was going to say Martin Liedtke.
Yes, Martin. Sorry for British.
He's in our chat.
I was going to say something. Yeah. Sorry, Martin.
I'm going. No, you know, because I deliberately left Martin off so then he can get special billing. So Martin, you're owning. And also, can I just mention that Mark Sargent's? I said to him that he comes to the conference, he needs to bring me a packet of biscuits, and he said yeah. So I will be asking.
So funny. Oliver as well, who you mentioned earlier, is in the live chat, or was in the live chat earlier. I'm not looking at it right now, so you definitely have got some support in the live chat.
We started to because he's going to come on a hangout that we're doing on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Do you mind me just saying this?
Oh, of course not, please.
On Sunday, we've got guests Mark Sargent, allegedly Dave, Darren Nesbitt, Santos Bonacci.
Wait a minute.
And Oliver.
That sounds like the best show ever. I mean, a lot of good people, Karen. So
yeah,
what is it about you that's able to attract all of these great people to come and speak with you? I don't mean that in an insulting way at all, but I'm saying that I don't know how many subscribers you have. I don't know if a lot of people know you. I think a lot of people are getting to know you, but there's something about what you do that's making people sit up and take notice. What do you think that is?
I don't know, because we're not the biggest group, because we're invite only. And the idea to start with was we probably started the group with wanting just researchers, because we wanted to know what we lived on. You know, we didn't just want to be a meme. I don't mean that horribly, because people do put memes and things and their own stories or videos on our group. It's not about that, but we wanted researchers. But over time, it's turned more. But in that time, we seem to have picked up people. And then when you look, it looks pretty good, doesn't it? Yeah. And we have Dell in our group as well.
Good. What is the time for the show tomorrow, which is the 24th of June, 2017, for those who are watching?
25th of June it's going to be.
Okay.
It's going to be my time, 9 o'clock. UK time, 9 o'clock. Because obviously Santos the next day. And then Mark Sargent he'll be the earliest. He'll be earlier than me, about 1 o'clock, something like that. Santos will be Tuesday morning.
Got it. So it sounds like
we're making him come on about 6:45 in the morning.
Oh, you better make sure to set his alarm.
It's Monday for him. It's the next day. Again, maybe it's because we're researching as well. Do you see what I mean?
Yes.
We're actually researching, and it draws people in. I don't know. It's just going really well. I love it. I want us to be a community as best. Maybe I'm looking at this naively because, you know, we've already had a few people do things, but I would just want us to be a community. I want my hangouts to be a safe place where people aren't being attacked. And I don't know. I think they're going quite well, aren't they? They're just starting to go really well. So that's what we want.
Good. And to subscribe to Karen's channel, Karen, Pettitt is her name, Karen with a K, and it's in the description box of this video. So click on that and give her a subscribe, just so that you can be notified. Click the bell too. When you click the bell, you'll be notified of new videos, and then you'll be able to go watch some things live, which to me is always the most fun because you can go in the live chat. So, Karen,
my group.
Perfect. So yeah, you'll be able to kind of meet both of them by participating in these hangouts. So Karen and Gary, you both kind of mentioned that there's been a few pitfalls involved to getting this thing underway. We know about some of the speakers, but what have been some of the problems that have occurred as you've tried to get this together?
I've been a little bit frustrated, actually, because I thought when I was talking to Karen about all the different things I think we need to consider, wanted is some protection to try and protect the location and the speakers and different things that we're doing. And I was always looking forward about rules coming at me from in front. What I didn't realize that there were people behind me that were actually going to be throwing hand grenades. People that I was talking to on Flat Earth, just in general. This idea, I just want to talk to you and just generally run thoughts, brainstorm, for want of a better word, brainstorm some ideas. And it was like growing from nothing almost daily with these different people. And all of a sudden, things on the internet actually attacking what I was doing.
So you're saying not shills or trolls, not anti-flat earthers. You're saying that you faced opposition from flat earthers. Right. Okay.
And
yes.
It absolutely shocked me, because even though I know there's a lot of unrest at times within the flat Earth, and I'm trying to put on an event, I've got to make a decision about the location. I've got to make a decision about the numbers. I've got to make a decision about who is speaking there. Somebody has a problem with it. I'm shocked and frustrated and disappointed about, because I'm trying to do something for the right reasons, and from different quarters. I mean, for instance, there's one lady, she actually came and put on there, and I will not use the words, but their words was really bad. But basically, she was saying, I hope this effing event, blah, 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 and it was worse words than that. No way people should be paying for the truth. And I'm thinking, that's all well and dandy, but the event needs paying for. Am I meant to be picking up the tab for putting on an event? It'd be my problem. We should just share the load. I'm just happen to be the one driving all the different, all the different little channels to make it happen. But I didn't expect to be attacked. To be attacked because they don't know what's going on. If you think about it, Patricia, there's one thing I really, really feel a little bit frustrated about, is that we talk about globalists are narrow-minded, and they don't actually understand an informed decision. But these same people who are flat earthers and what we're doing, all the facts. So are they not just going to repeat history of what they were like when they were in the globe world?
They feel they've awakened, but they still have a globe mindset. And I see it all of the time. In fact, the Flat Earth International Conference, the US one, same things it faced, with people complaining and saying it should be free and all of that. Well, to rent out a hotel and a hall in a hotel is not free. And also, in the particular situation in the US, the hotel itself is asking for a guarantee that X amount of rooms in the hotel will be rented. And none of the speakers are getting paid. None of the speakers for the US one are getting free hotel rooms or anything. But we can go to the conference for free and speak, which is great. But we all pay our own way. We're not getting any money or proceeds from the event. And the proceeds will be turned back in to do a bigger and better one next year. This year's first ever American one, they've capped it off at 400 people. Of course, there's been demand. It's starting to come in now, since it's sold out, for more tickets, but I'm not sure if the venue can hold it. So it turned out to be almost more popular than was expected, but it is the first one. We'll be learning for the second one. What about you? What is the cap that you've put in mind for the number of people in attendance, if you have a cap yet?
Fortunately, there is a cap. And I'll say unfortunately, because what I'd like to have is a hotel that will offer me a 250 room capacity, or you can move to room B and it could be 460, for instance. But this particular hotel is 275. And I've asked if there's any chance of standing or we can have bigger rooms, and we've already got the biggest. The alternative is we either just go with it and just live with it, or we end up looking at other locations. The issue is, and you said about the cost of hotels and the cost of things, I'm talking to the Hilton at the airport, and just for tea and coffee alone, you have to guarantee one sit-in per day. And for 250 people, you're looking at £900 when you include the VAT. So if you look at that in dollars, you're looking at $1,200 just for tea and coffee and biscuits. And when these people say it should be free, have these people go off and go and queue up for tea and coffee and pay a lot of money for it, or we can make it very quick and efficient, but there's a cost that will make that happen. So to answer your question, it's 275. I would like it to be more like 400 because I do think that we would get the numbers.
Yes, well, you would get the numbers because we got it here in the US 400 pretty quickly too. And we had a VIP section of tickets that sold out almost immediately, which was a little higher priced, where you get to, I don't know, meet and greet or something backstage with some of the speakers. And I don't know if you're doing that sort of thing, but I know I put you in touch with Ravi D of Celebrate Truth, conference organizer.
I appreciate it.
Oh, well, hey, we're all trying to do the same thing here, is just get people involved. And I bet he's got some good information because he's had to go through all of this already, and all the praise and love and all of the people saying it should be free, you're a profiteer, and all of those things to Ravi. So
I had a 20-minute conversation with him because of you, so thank you. That's been really fantastic. We seem to be quite similar on a lot of our thinking, because I think we've been on the same journey, reading almost the same book, if you like. Going to come across that's going to be different to me, and secondly, he's going to be further down the road, so he's going to be able to answer things. And I've asked if we can have some synergy between the two events, which he's really up for, so that's really pleasing. I just want to touch on something you said earlier about like signing contracts and whatever. Going with the hotel I'm with, I've got a lot of flexibility, but it's restricted on numbers. If I go for another hotel, they want 10% upfront, they want minimum numbers, they have to have certain guarantees, they want to charge for the air you breathe, they want to charge the pens, they want to charge for everything. And it's like, where do I draw the line? Because at the end of the day, I'm the one where it stops with. And every single person who's looking at the event, you split into three categories. You either love the event, want to just turn up, or it could have been bigger, or it should have been smaller. What do I do?
There's no way.
I mean, I just got to choose.
You can't please everyone.
But what I want to do,
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry. But what I want to say is that what I want to do is any monies that I make, I've got to try and make it where I'm pitching the figures that it just about makes the money with a little bit left over. And there's one or two things I want to do as a legacy. One is I would like to have put on a bigger and better event in the future with a lot more people, a lot less cost. And we know when we talk to the hotel, we know the weeks that we want. We know the location. We know the numbers. All these factors will be. It would be a lot more straightforward second time round. And you also know the type of interest, because people will say, oh, I love the event, I want to do another one, or I wish I could get a ticket. So a lot of things are going to be so much easier second time round, not first time round, because it's literally a blank piece of paper.
And don't forget, you've done all this in a matter of a few weeks.
Yeah, it's been 5 weeks.
Right. Yeah, it's not easy, but you do have the support of the community behind you for the most part anyway. And you've got the support from us in the States too. And I know that Mark Sargent will do what he can to help out making promos for it. And I know that I'll help out in any way I can, and others.
Thank you.
Well, it's because we're all, and then next year when you've got yours, I mean, your first one in 2017, probably by then we'll know our second one's date, and then you guys can promote ours. So it's all going to be good. And ours will get bigger, yours will get bigger, and then somebody else is going to do one. I'm just making this up here now, but in Japan or in Spain, or, I mean, I don't know what's going to come from this, but I remember in 2015, Mark and I decided we wanted to do a convention, we call it. We were going to do it somewhere, and we didn't do what you guys are smart enough to do. Or what Robbie D and Brian Mullen were smart enough to do. We discussed it openly on one of our shows, just threw it out there and let people think about it. And what happened wasn't people saying, oh my gosh, that's a great idea. It was people immediately cracking down on Mark and I and saying we were doing it for money or whatever. And we ended up kind of getting a little, I guess the word's cowed. We just sort of kind of said, okay, I guess you don't want one of these things. So when Robbie D and Brian Mullen decided to do this one, they put it all together first. And then they said, here's the event, here's how much it'll cost, and here's where it's going to be. And people didn't have a chance to go boo and boo Robbie and Brian off stage. So in a way, Gary, what you're doing is you kind of have it pretty well together at this point before people have started talking about it. So
we did talk about it in our group. We had a hangout about it, didn't we? I did actually put it on YouTube, but it was done in our group. So when Gary first talked about it, it was in a group hangout, wasn't it?
Was everyone positive about it that you spoke with? Right.
I think what it is, they like the idea, but I think it was only because it was only a conceptual thing. It was like, I won't use the word map after that, but you could be talking about anything, and sounds like a great idea, but there's no substance to it.
Yeah, the thing is that it's
really
wonderful.
So I started to make.
You talk about it, and people are like, "Oh, interesting," or "Oh, that's a bad idea. Truth should be free." But the victory goes to the doers, and Robbie D and Brian Mullen were the doers. Mark Sargent and I kind of got too scared off by the people talking badly about us. We're doing it for the money, which we weren't. So we never were the doers. You're the doer, Gary. So hats off to you, because when you become the doer, like Brian Mullen and like Robbie D and like yourself, you get the applause, the accolades, and you also get you also get bad stuff. You get people throwing rotted tomatoes at you. So you have to have thicker skin than you ever thought possible. We thought we'd have to have thick skin when we got involved in Flat Earth, dealing with people saying we were morons or family members thinking we're crazy. But just putting on something like this that you're facing right now, people should be very supportive, because you have to deal with a lot. I know firsthand.
Can I just add, and that's true, Patricia, that I just want to add something, that I am not doing this for me. I was talking to somebody on the way up tonight that I was hoping was going to be a speaker, but he's, for one reason or another, he's not in a position to commit to it at this time, because I'm trying to build all the information I need for the website. And basically, I wanted to visit a conference in the UK. And there wasn't one. So the only way I could actually go to a conference is actually to make something happen. So I'm not doing it for glory. I don't want a pat on the back. That I feel that we can be proud of and is special, and it has longevity, that it can build something for the future. And one point I was going to try and make earlier, but we went off a tangent, is that any proceeds that are left over, which will be negligible, they either go towards a future event where we can have a bit more control, which means that we can have more choices, which means we can bring the cost down. Or if that doesn't happen and we go for smaller events, is to actually to have a legacy where maybe some of the experiments that go around in the UK, or even going to Antarctica or going somewhere or doing something, the money could be helping towards funding these things. So there's no money to be made for an individual. It's just to do with covering costs, and anything left over will be used in a positive way. And
do you want to explain a little bit about like what the conference is? It's over 2 days.
Yeah.
What they're getting.
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a good point. So thanks for that, Karen. I had to make a decision between just having a room, the different add-on costs for audio and video and bits and pieces, or to have a package. And the dedicated package is actually 2/3 of the cost of the ticket that people are going to be offered. And of course, getting back to this thing about it should be free or you shouldn't be charging that. I can't believe it. But what I want to do is this: I'm going to put on the event. It's not a secret, but they can find out on the website, because that make them look about the cost for the ticket. And there is going to be something like yours where there's an early bird. There's also I don't want to call it a VIP. I'm actually calling it a front row.
I like that better. I didn't make the decisions of VIP or not, but
No, I know that.
people have said, oh, VIP makes it sound like the people speaking are some kinds of celebs or something. And I know that's not what was meant by that, but maybe next year they'll call it, like you said, front row. But, you know, it's all words. And in the end, nobody thinks we're celebrities on Flat Earth. If you wanted to be a celebrity, Flat Earth would be the last thing you'd pick. So.
No, definitely. But the reason why I'm doing front run, I took long and hard. I actually was talking to Darren Nesbitt actually, and he was saying he doesn't quite like the VIP either. But the concept of what it's about is important, because I'm trying to get people in from America, from Spain, from Holland, and it all costs money.
Mm-hmm.
It is the way I've chosen to do it, and I don't care if people don't like it. If they don't like it, don't come. Anyone coming to the event who's speaking, contributing, should be funded, not making money, but to cover their costs. And that is something I've decided. Nobody else. I've spoken to the speakers, and they've all said, you know what, let's just put the event on, let's do something really special. And I said, right, I've got a criteria that I'm going to work to, and it's a criteria where I feel that I can expect certain things. If I'm asking somebody to do something for free, and then there's a problem, they say, well, do you know what, this is too much hassle, it's for free, I'm not going to bother. Whereas I want to put on something where it's of value to the individual turning up to watch and the person who's actually going to be presenting, and I have to do something where there's an element of respect to both sides.
That makes a lot of sense.
And for me, if it's not built with integrity, I don't want to do it.
Yeah. And
there's a few things that Karen and I have had some different disagreements with certain things, and we've gone down different routes, and I'll keep coming back to the same mantra that it has to work on respect and value for money, and it has to be for the right reason. I'm not saying I'm right, but I'm trying to do it for the right reasons.
So I'm going to go into the live chat. Oh, I hear some echo.
Also, you wanted something that was nice to go to. You still haven't explained about what's actually like what you're putting on. Like,
yeah, sorry. Sorry about this,
Go
Patricia. Basically, within the package price is actually people get attendees get a buffet. And they get tea and coffee throughout the day within the event. So basically, they don't have to queue up at the hotel at hotel prices. It's all covered within the ticket price. So it means that, and if they're vegan or vegetarian, everything will be catered for them, because within the actual ordering on the website, they will be able to have the facilities to actually express what they need. We're also going to have a private Facebook group for everyone who's actually signed up for a ticket. Will then be joined to the Facebook. So when we're talking about, for instance, people may want to go camping, or they want to go glamping, or they want to book the hotel, any bits of information that doesn't need to go onto the website will be available through the Facebook, because I want to build a community that if there's 3 people living in a particular area of the country that are coming up all on their own, and then they find out that they're coming up, and they may end up doing future experiments, and they end up becoming friends. So I don't want to just put on an event, I want to put on a legacy.
I love that attitude. And we're both going to be learning from each other. I know that the people, I'm just going to speak for the people that are doing the US conference, since I'm a speaker at it, we're going to learn from what you do. And I guess you'll learn with what we do, to each make it better in the end. Because even if we're on different sides of the pond, in the end, we're all on the same plane. So I just went into the live chat and asked if anybody has any sorts of questions, and we do have one right off the bat from Irk Childs, who says, please repeat when and where the show with Mark and Santos is going on, Karen.
Sunday on my YouTube channel. It'll be 9 o'clock UK time.
All right, and that channel is in the description box of this video. I want to say hello to some of the people that are here. We've got Philip Franklin asking me how long I've believed the Earth is flat. March 2015, and I started my channel August 23rd, 2015. I answered that because I just want to be nice, but I know you're kind of trolling. But okay, anyway. Hello to Transpersonals. Martin Leakey is here, and well, Billy Sunday, obviously, because his question was here. You guys know each other. And we've also got Ali B and Seven Raven Wolf and Twitwit and Epsom Vince. And we've got Charlie Wilson as well. Charlie is asking you, Gary, are you still doing a park run in the mornings? So
Yes, I'm not probably going to do it tomorrow because I've been doing some really long hours this week, and obviously by the time I get home, it's actually 45 minutes to my place, not 5. But yes, and can you ask this person to contact me because I'd love to speak to them. But yes, I've just I was the event director at one of the events on the South Coast up to about 2 months ago, and I'm just now a park runner, and I've been doing it for about 3 years, and I love it.
I can only see your torso, but you have sun on your face and on your head. And I'm thinking, this guy is an outdoors type of guy. He must do something outside. And there it is, running. It's pretty warm there where you are now. I talked to somebody who said it was, weirdly enough, 33 degrees where you are, which is pretty warm.
Yeah, it's very muggy though. So you're just constantly hot.
It's hot here. In where I live in Houston, it's over 100 degrees. So similar, you go outside and you're just immediately covered in sweat, which is not pleasant.
A little island,
Yes.
surrounded by water.
So when are you planning on doing the event? I mean, is it still in flux, or do you have a solid date? I guess that depends on what hotel you pick, right?
The hotel has been picked. I haven't signed the contract because Karen and I are trying to go up there to make sure and tick the boxes. Because if we go up there and we've already signed a contract remotely and then go up there, say 2 months before the event, not suitable, there's going to be some big regrets. So I need to go up there. Karen wants to come along, which is absolutely, that's good. The date is set at 21st and 22nd of next year. Saturday and Sunday. It's going to, just to give you a little bit of overview, the website will say all this. It's going to start like a little bit similar to yours. It's going to start in the morning on the Saturday with registration, go through the day to about 6 o'clock, and then it's going to carry on to the Sunday. But I am actually going to finish the Sunday session earlier because some people obviously need to get home ready for school, for their children and their work for the next day. So the longer day on the Saturday is shorter, it's slightly shorter. It's about 2 hours different. So the duration is the same, but split over 2 days, but predominantly on the Saturday. But it is a set date and it is a set hotel, but I have the options to actually change to somewhere else. But I have put out on Facebook today, would people want to have a bigger conference?
I saw that.
See what feedback I'd get. And to be fair, even though I've got 1,260 odd friends on my Facebook account, which predominantly are Flat Earth, we are abroad, so that it's not relevant to them. So unless I put it out to a load of groups and create a lot of chatter, what I don't want to do, I don't want to be in people's face with this. I don't want it to get to a point that it's a one-stop only. It becomes a stop record. So well, it's difficult. It's a difficult.
A 2-day event, the same thing we're doing in the U.S. and we're doing it a couple days earlier in the week than you are, but same thing. 2 days is perfect. In and out, but 2 days for the fellowship, the bonding, the information exchange, and that sort of thing. Now, here's a question that we've been talking about among the people who are doing the one here in the US: security. Now, we know on YouTube there's trolling. Will any of the people who totally hate everything about Flat Earth choose to go to an event and do some in-person trolling? Have you considered security?
Hotel. We're at a hotel.
Right, same as us. We're at a hotel. But somebody who really wanted to get in could buy a ticket, and then I don't know what they do.
I must admit, I hadn't thought about it until I spoke to Robbie the other day. So one of the benefits, one of the many benefits of talking to Robbie was he actually was saying about. Not true, actually. He was on the Nathan Oakley show, and he was talking about security. Mm-hmm. And I thought, I hadn't thought of that. So basically, I was watching the show, Nathan's show, because obviously find out what's going on. And I hadn't spoken to Robbie at the time. I've obviously spoken to him since through you. To factor in, I haven't budgeted for it because everything is on a very, very fine budget. And but I do think we need to do something. So yes, I hear what Karen's saying, the hotel, but they're not going to be geared up for this. The other thing I want to do about the hotel, and I'm going to be absolutely lambasted for this, is that I'm actually spoken to the web developers that I don't necessarily want the highlight massively the hotel, because who's not a flat earther is just going to go around and start causing trouble, and I don't want that. So basically they will find out when they actually book the ticket. Okay, that will still filter out to people, but they're going to have to make a little bit of effort for that to happen through like a hoop.
Right, that makes a lot of sense. What about press? The press there will be some press at the US one. And I know it's so far off, you can't really be contacting the press now to come because it's a year away. But are you considering getting the press involved? Do either of you or anyone you know have any contacts in the media?
Is it worth you mentioning about Tom?
Well, we have someone here in the UK. He's a member of my group again. Tom, he's doing a project. Is he at? Or he's been there.
He's in Oxford, I don't know.
Yeah, he's been Oxford, and he's trying to get together information to make a program with to and against flat Earth. But he's interviewed us, and so he's a kind of reporter, isn't he? He's making his own program. He's hoping, was it BBC4? Yeah. Might take this on, which would be amazing, wouldn't it? So we might go to him. Think about ringing up all the newspapers the day before. More notice than that, would you? Like, you wouldn't want to give them too much notice.
It's a good idea, though. It's a good idea to get the media there, even if they're going there to do a fluff piece on crazy people wearing tinfoil hats. If they do attend, they'll get there and they'll see reasonable, logical, normal people with no tinfoil hats.
Can I just add that to the list, Patricia? I need to get aluminium because I need to make sure that we want to be able to make up the hats because that'd be such a waste, wouldn't it? Really.
He has to wear a tin hat.
It's got, as a Mark Sargent, has to wear a hat.
Well, Mark is always up for wearing a hat. That's for sure. He's wearing he wore a Joker's cap on a show that he and I did. I guess it was supposed to be an elf, but it looked like a Joker cap. And of course, screenshots were taken and he was made into a fool. So be careful if you wear a tinfoil hat, even for a joke, because people who dislike flat Earth will use that against us. But you know what? You can't use anything against what's true. And what's true is there's no measurable curvature. Water has to be contained, and we don't live on a ball, so they can tease us and troll us all they want. We'll still be here in the end, and the numbers are growing. This event sounds exciting, sounds good, and I'm glad that you've got Mark Sargent going there just to have an American presence. And then, of course, there'll probably be some attendees who are American that go. I've gone to a couple. I'm going to another in July 22nd. Nathan Oakley, who you mentioned, and Martin Liedtke and myself are going, Royal Leamington Spa, and I'm flying from the US to go there to attend that meetup. I went to the Oxford meetup last year. I have no problem going to support my fellow flat earthers in other countries if I'm able to get there. And I bet you'll have some Americans in the audience too, because this is a wonderful moment to bond with people as well as gain new information. A lot of us feel alone if we don't have family members who support what we're doing. What about either of you? I'll ask you first, Karen. Do you have family members behind you with what you're doing, or has there been a bit of an issue about you being a flat earther?
Issue.
Tell us.
I find it very sad. Two of my sons have not reacted very well towards me. They just think I don't know. I don't think they think I act my age. I don't know what they want me to look like, but the flat earth made me crazy. It made one of my son's in-laws write things, but they kept hounding me, like, well, what about this and prove that and do. Oh, I get the blame for it at the end. It was all my fault, but they asked me. So my middle son is in my group, and I suppose my eldest son is in my group, but the middle one is the one that supports me. I have a daughter. She's 17. She's not interested, but it's not that maybe my sons have a problem. It's their partners. They just can't go there. I don't think they've treated me very nicely. No. But I can't stop just because they don't like it.
Well, I agree with that. You have to continue to go on. I know what it's like. We all know what it's like. We all have friends and family members who have done pretty much that same thing. And you just go forward. And we're not socially isolated, obviously. Look, you two are together and you're 45, not 5 minutes apart. And you've made the steps it took to actually connect personally. So, you know, that's what we do. We do what we can do. What about you, Gary, and your personal life and flat Earth? Has it affected you negatively or positively?
I have to split mine up into three, really. The first one is I spoke to my nephew, Stroke. He works for me as well. 2 years ago, when, like I said to you at the beginning of this hangout, that my chin hit the floor. But when I spoke to people about it, it was very difficult to defend certain points because I didn't know enough. And I spoke to him, and he went away, spoke to his wife, came back really not only aggressive. It was almost like I'd almost like stood on his cat. You know, honestly, I couldn't understand how, because obviously we all know now why people react in certain ways. But I was shocked, and obviously, you know, it rocked me as well because I'm still vulnerable to the whole event. My girlfriend, on the fence, she's looked at it with an open mind. She wants to look at it because she feels that if I'm doing it, she wants to support or at least be aware of it. But she's scared of that, what flat Earth could mean, as in if it did come out. And I can see her point, but it's something that, you know, we can't really easily answer. But I do think it is a very valid. And my son-in-law is actively looking into it with an open mind. He's still on the fence, but he is not critical. He's very supportive. I've shown him some videos recently about things, and, you know, and said, "Oh, what do you think of this?" And he's like, he looks at it with an open mind, which that's all I can ask. And he's great, and my stepdaughter as well. And so in effect, I've got three sections to it, really. And I speak to friends, and they just look at me and laugh, thinking I'm just joking, until they realise I'm not. But it just water on a duck's back.
What I find really hard is that there are so many terrible things out there. You mentioned flat Earth, and it's as if you've killed somebody.
Yeah, there's so many other horrible things going on that are actually provable. I'm not talking about false flags.
It's so rude. I'm sure now whether when you really get into flat Earth, it's such a big thing. It's not just even about a piece of land that we're living on. It's a realm we live in. To me, it's a spiritual thing as well. The way that people talk to you, what they call you, I just like it. I'm not sure if there's a lot of living dead out there.
I sometimes
dead.
Yeah, I sometimes think so. We've all been called the craziest things. Never in my life has anybody thought I was the things that I've been called until I got into flat Earth. I've gone 54 now, 52 years with never being called any of those things by people who met me in person. Never they thought that those things about me, never called me it. You get into flat Earth, immediately it's like a list of crazy things people assume about you.
As soon as you get the
exactly. Garlic, silver bullets. Exactly.
Yeah, and when we actually think about what they're actually believing, the millions, the trillions, the light years away, the thousands of, I mean, like, even us spinning 1,000 miles an hour, it'd be the worst merry-go-round ride you'd ever be on.
Yeah, we'd all be ill, sick.
A volcano means that it would change the trajectory, like a big earthquake could change the trajectory of the Earth. So, I mean, we'd be changing a bit. So it's all just stupid.
They're always saying,
you've got to go outside. Go outside. Do you hear anything?
Exactly. Do you feel anything? We're told an earthquake has changed the rotation of the Earth and tipped it a little bit on the axis a little bit. Seriously? That's crazy.
Yeah.
I want to go in the live chat, and there's many people that are just wanting to say hi to you, including Paula, Knowledge Scavenger, and Diva Dante. Ali B as well, who made a good comment when we were talking earlier about people opposing flat Earth. And Ali himself has this, says his mom went, "Oh yeah," to flat Earth, but his dad called him stupid. But he said nobody jumped ship, so he still has good, solid relationships. So, yeah. It's not easy, but it's once you get the calling,
once you go back, you can't go back.
Exactly, you can't. So true, so true. I want to say hello to Robbie D, who we've been speaking of Celebrate Truth, is in here, as well as Truth and Seven Ravenwolf and a bunch of other people. Hi Fruity You. And Flat Earth Math. I don't know if I'm doing some repeats here. Save Our Future America and Humanity, a long YouTuber name, but He's here as well, and Ian Tinsley and others. But everyone's wishing you well and great success with what you're doing.
Thank you.
They appreciate it. And so tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but the next day, it depends where you are, check our channel. It's in the description box. It's Karen Pettit and Gary John, and they are bringing to you together flat earth information from the UK. Karen's channel has very long hangouts, and they're very frequent, and they have excellent people on them. So definitely subscribe. I'm hoping that people who follow my channel subscribe to her channel, because you don't have as many subscribers as that channel deserves, with the quality of guests and the open...
My channel's not been going for very long, Patricia. I started by making my own videos. I mean, I'm up to number 9 now of NASA fakery. You know, I've only come across a few footages to look through, and we've got paused astronauts. You know, one's moving, one's paused. Now I can find that. Anybody can find that. And then I said we were staying more quiet about our research till we were finished. But then we just decided, because we were already having group hangouts, we just weren't putting them on. We've been having hangouts for probably about 6 months, but they just weren't on YouTube because they were private.
Right.
We started to come out. And then luckily we're having some good guests, and the one on Sunday, which I'm really looking forward to. Maybe you'll come on as well.
I would love to. I would really love to. Thank you for asking. Okay, so is there any last bit of information that you want those who are watching to know about anything that you've got coming up? Gary, is there any way anybody can help you in your quest to get this conference on the road? Well, it already is on the road. Further along on the road, let's say.
One thing I'm very keen on is that I have an open door policy, or I'd like to keep an open door policy where people can write to me, they can ask me questions, they can find out, they can offer, because obviously I can't do, you know, there's certain things I can't do, and there's certain things I can do with help. And until something became a major problem, then I'd rather have this open door, because I want it to be a very transparent and a very, as I said to you earlier about the integrity of the actual, you know, the event has to be done in a particular way. And that's something I find very important. There is one thing I do want to say, is that I do feel that all the different things that have been kicked out by NASA, all the different mistakes that we're seeing, I think it's actually a deliberate thing. I'm just saying, I think it is, because they have a lot of people that they can make sure that the content they put out is vetted, and they release a lot of stuff. And I think it may be a bit more controlled than we'd like to believe.
I'm with you on that, Gary, because look at movies like Gravity with Sandra Bullock. It's flawless. It makes you believe that they're out in space, floating around. So with the budget NASA has, they could pull off the same thing. They could make it so that we never started seeing flaws. Are they putting the flaws there as what they call Easter eggs for us to figure out? And
I think it's worse than that. It's the bit about, you know, the emperor's clothes when he was naked, but everybody pretended, or had to pretend he was wearing something.
Yes.
People just don't see it. Pilots just don't. They're just not thinking about it. Psyche that it's flat.
Well, that's
so they just can't see. So they only see the ball and NASA. But I mean, oh, please, everybody, just go and pick a few NASA footages. I'll tell you which ones they are if you like, and just watch them. There's just, I've got, like, I made one and there was about 15-20 minutes, and you can hear them in the water. They're in water and there's all these noises. You know, if you're in a vacuum, there should be no noise. Paused astronauts. There's a guy with a torch in the background in one. So the astronauts, 2 astronauts, but there's a torch going around in the background. You can see flippers.
Yeah, scuba tanks. But, you know, they'll counter with saying, well, we film in a pool. Everyone knows that. That's known. So since we film in a pool, that's pool footage from our training. But they're not passing it off.
Live
they're saying
NASA.
It's live, right? So
no, live NASA, it says.
I want to say hello to Frank Bocchiccio as well. And D Marble is here as well. Alex Aquarius and Greg T. and Eternal Padawan. So many good people. Nathan Oakley, I might have
He's a member of my group.
Nathan.
Hi, Dave.
Nathan is putting your channel into the live chat so that people will.
Oh, thank you, Nathan.
Everyone's here to help. And Karen, anything you want to get across to people? Pretty much what you said is look into the NASA footage. Just look, right?
Just look at some, especially when they're outside. That's even better, I think, than the inside, the outside.
You've got a good point about that, haven't you? About and they're still outside.
Yeah, but I mean, I could put it, even in Flat Earth, I wasn't really watching. I was just watching the ones where they'd already picked up with the bubbles. But when you actually go and look at it yourself, you can just see mistake after mistake. There's even horrible words in there. I don't want to mention it on your show. Begins with B and ends in H. I found it, like, in my videos, in my channel. I couldn't believe it because I was actually taking their footage to make this video, and then this word came across. I thought, where did that come from?
In my opinion, astronauts are supposed to be so squeaky clean and bastions of the community. I mean, I know they're regular people like you, and I'm pretending that they're real. They're supposed to be regular people.
Bowen, first walk of Bowen, going outside a couple of years ago. It's on there, but they're talking, like you can hear control and them talking, and then this word comes across. But I mean, children watch that.
Yeah,
it's
and they're
NASA.
trying to appeal. They're trying to appeal to children by doing footage from the ISS into people's schools. So yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. But you know, Gary, what you said makes a lot of sense. They're purposely doing these things. And like what you said too, Karen, Emperor has no clothes, and everyone's just pretending that the Emperor has this beautiful finery on. And you know,
I think what happens is once you tell people it's flat, their whole life has changed. I mean, one of my sons says, well, what does it matter if we're flat? But if you actually knew it was a lie, it changes everything, and it does matter.
Yes, and everything you look at, every event that's happening in the world, in your neighborhood or on the news, nationally, internationally, you have to then question all of those things and question all of history. Because if they're faking the moon landing and if they're faking the spacewalks, what else are they lying about? So it does change your life. And
everything.
I think some people are afraid and don't want their life changed. But the thing about Flat Earth is we're going to change their life eventually. I don't know how long it's going to take, but we're not stopping.
And then they go and lie on top and on top and make it lie upon lie. But maybe there's, I don't mean to be horrible, but why is it some of us have woken up?
I agree with that. I don't know what it is. I think Mark Sargent once said, and maybe it was someone else, that it's as if when we were sleeping, somebody selectively went from house to house and put flat earth dust into our eyes, but missed some of the houses, and those people just don't wake up.
I think I knew as a child. As a child, I remember when I was quite young, I knew I was here to do something.
You know what?
I knew.
I feel the same way. Martin Leakey has also expressed that on his Flat Earth British channel. He said that this is what he's made for. I'm paraphrasing, but this is what he's here to do. I think we all feel we found a calling. We all had passions before this, things we were interested in, and maybe those things are still valid in our lives, but this goes right to the front. You know, of course, our families come first, but this goes right up to the front as the most important thing we're doing with our lives right now. So, Gary, you asked this question about what it was. So we've got Gary doing the UK Flat Earth Conference. We've got me doing my group, and we're having hangouts. So I just hope it gets further forward, and you know, getting more of you to talk together, because it's okay talking about it, but the news said we're flat, then what are we going to do? We need to be thinking about the future a bit, because Flat Earth has picked up so much. I don't think it's a bit like, I remember Mark saying that Mark Sargent, he was saying how they'd chopped around with his figures. You know, they changed one of the search bars so that, you know, you wouldn't find Flat Earth or find him that way. But I mean, imagine YouTube having to explain to everybody that the most money they pay out is to Flat Earth. So then they have to lie about everything to cut the numbers down. So maybe still it's not so talked about publicly, but I reckon there are a lot more people who know it is and are just not talking enough at the moment. Yeah. But if they realised it was safe to talk about Flat Earth and it was an everyday subject, then maybe, you know, so I'm hoping that people's minds, you know, out there. Yes, and that's why billboards are great. People are standing with signs on street corners, T-shirts, anything. Children's books I've heard are being written. Anything we can do, and the more we talk about it, the more it will be talked about. So I encourage everybody, if you don't have a channel, start one. Start one. Do anything. Do whatever you can do if this is something that you passionately believe in, like all three.
Because there might be one person tomorrow who doesn't understand, comes across your work or whatever you're doing, and then you open their eyes.
Right. And also, I try to have this channel be a safe place. I kind of keep it clean here and everything, and keep it kind of light and friendly. And this channel appeals, not to everybody, of course. There's a lot of people it doesn't appeal to at all, but it appeals to people who want that approach. And then we've got channels where people are very angry and speaking directly at the camera, filled with rage and anger, righteous rage and anger at being lied to. That appeals to people. So there's no one right way to do your channel. Whatever you do, if you're talking about flat earth, will appeal to certain people. And that's why it's great that there's so many different types. Now, Gary,
I'm the same as you. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting again, but I'm the same as you. I'm zero tolerance. You know, we've got to learn to respect each other. And that's one of the things that's missing now, is nobody respects each other. No one cares about each other. And so I'm the same. You come to my hangouts.
Right.
No need to argue.
I agree. I'm not interested in debate. Now, I know there's people who have great debating skills, and maybe seeing a debate is very necessary for newbies who still have questions. But when you've reached a certain point, debate is not what you're doing anymore, unless you're an excellent debater, and then you are waking people up by doing debate. So, hey, do what it is that you do best. Gary, what is a good contact email if people want to help you out, offer suggestions, offer some sort of help with your 2018 UK Flat Earth Conference?
Even though there is an official email, it's not actually been released. It's not a secret. It's just not actually in full use yet. But my private email is garyjohn42@hotmail.com. Contact me through Facebook, and all you've got to do is look for Gary John and look for the photograph. There's a few globes on there.
Exactly. It's easy to spot. So garyjohn42@hotmail.com. And Karen, people can go to your YouTube channel, obviously, which is in the description box, but an email for you as well.
Okay, Karen Cola, just cola as in like the drink, 63 at gmail.com.
Were you born in 63? That's a horrible question to ask a woman, but you were? Me too.
I was.
Me too, February.
Yeah, you as well. Oh, golly.
Gosh, happy birthday, 63. That's exciting. I know this will bore everybody. What month, Karen, in 63?
June.
Okay, and what about you, Gary?
September.
And I'm February, so 63 in the house.
Prime month then. Okay.
Well, thank you.
Isn't it? That's amazing. We're all the same year.
Is that the first hangout ever that you've actually had all the same years?
Yes, there's only one other person that's in Flat Earth who I'm not sure if he's 100% Flat Earther anymore, who is a similar birthday to me, which is Matrix Decode. We were both born February 5th, but he's younger than me. So this is the first 1963 hangout, episode 171. Too bad it wasn't episode 63. So you guys, thank you so much for being on. I definitely appreciate it. And I will be in touch with both of you. And if there's anything I can help you with, I'm always here. So
you've been very helpful. And I also think you get a very bad press, and so does Mark. And it really frustrates me because people like this thing about having an open mind, they attack without knowing. And even though they may have substance, they may not have substance, you've always been very supportive of me. And I appreciate that. So thank you.
Thank you, both of you. Oh, it's a love fest.
Thank you, everyone who's written in. Thank you.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Have a good night, both of you. So that's Karen Pettit, Gary John, episode 171 with the 1963 birthdays, talking about the Flat Earth UK conference coming up in 2018. And more details on that will come as we go a little closer to it. So contact both of them. Check out Karen's channel and subscribe. And hey, subscribe to my channel while you're there too. Yeah. Thank you so much, both of you. And that's the end of our show. Bye, guys. And keep it flat.